How's it going, everyone? Darren here, aka Dr. Dev, and welcome to my Devlog series. It is currently Saturday the 18th of May, and I've just finished uploading my episode 1 Devlog video. I decided that I would get right back into working on this game over the course of this weekend because as of the time that this video was published, I will actually be on holiday in Bulgaria with my family. Because of that, my schedule is going to be a little bit messed up, and this week's video is only going to end up covering Saturday and Sunday instead of the Monday to Friday that I originally had planned. But to compensate for that fact, I've decided to do a load of game development this weekend to make sure that I'm not only staying consistent, but also remaining committed to providing you guys with content. So the day is still young on this somewhat sunny Saturday in the UK, and I decided to finish the look and feel of the player character's movement because although the player can indeed walk around, he always faces in the same direction. So I got to work on making the player face the horizontal direction he's walking in. So left if he's walking left and right if he's walking right. And once I had finished, this is how it looked. Now, I've seen online that many people go with the approach of inverting the X scale of the game object to get that flipped behavior, but I decided to go against this for one reason. This approach does not flip the game object's forward vector too, because it's not actually rotating it. I wanted it so that the game object's forward vector always returns me the vector that the sprite is facing in. So my solution was simple. All I had to do was rotate the game object by 180 degrees around the Y-axis whenever it was time to flip, instead of inverting the X scale. And there we have it, the same result, but a little bit better overall in my books. To finish up with the player's movement, he was gonna need a walk animation. Look, I know he's dead and all, but that doesn't mean that he has to be lifeless. So yeah, that's what I focused on next. And after I was done, this was the result. It's not perfect by any means, but I am pretty happy with how it turned out, and it will definitely do for now. Now, since I'm going away on holiday, I need to get a fresh haircut. So I think it's time to take a break, get some fresh air, and go see my barber. Okay, so I've just gotten home, I got a haircut that is looking slick, and I'm feeling pumped to continue on this game. But while I was outside in that big bad world, I realised that there was one more thing with regards to player movement that I wanted to put in. Since I already had a variable for the player's movement speed, I thought it would be cool to hook it up to the walk animation such that as the player's move speed decreases and increases, the walk animation speed will decrease and increase respectively so that it always looks in sync. This would be great further down the line if I were to decide to add debuffs or slow mechanics to the game. Watch as I gradually drop my player's movement speed. You'll notice here that the walk animation keeps on playing at the same speed. This looks weirder and weirder as the player speed decreases and the difference between both of them grows. And now that I've made the change, take a look at how the animation syncs with the player's move speed. As I drop the player speed, just as I did before, you'll notice now that the animation speed drops with it and it no longer looks weird. This felt very satisfying to implement because, albeit simple, it is taking advantage of a scriptable object architectural approach, which makes it so simple to decouple the objects from each other. At the end of the day, the animation literally only needs to know about some arbitrary float value, which in this case happens to be the player's speed, but it doesn't need to actually know anything about the player itself, at least not directly. By now it was getting quite late, and I decided to just go get some food and call it a night on game development. My fiance and I decided to treat ourselves to a cheeky little meal, and let me tell you, it was so damn good. It's now Sunday morning, and let me tell you that I slept like a baby after all of those carbs. And that works out great for me because now that I'm well rested, I get to spend the whole day doing game development. I decided to kickstart the day by taking on what I knew would be a pretty big challenge, creating a decent looking background image for the first room of this game. So I went into Photoshop and I honestly must have spent at least 2 hours in there, only to come out with what I think is probably the biggest pile of crap of a background image I could imagine. I've seriously developed a higher level of respect for artists, and honestly it was really high before this anyways. Since I had spent so much time on this, I decided to just keep it for now and make a few minor alterations to bring it to life a bit more. So I added some darker shades around the edges, then I applied a bit of light blending and added some little details to make it pop out a bit, and this is basically what it ended up like. It actually didn't look that awful now, and it was no doubt better than it was before, so that's a great thing. So long as every change I make improves this game in some way, then that's a win and I'll be happy. Now, since this little arena is just an image, the player can simply walk right out of it. So that was the next thing that I decided to tackle. I approached this by simply adding 4 box colliders to the background game object that roughly represents its boundary. I then went to the player game object and gave him a box collider as well, but instead of making it fit to his body shape, I decided to just place it around his feet, and you'll see why I did that in just a moment. So with that done, it was time to test it out. And there we go. You can probably see now why the player's collider only covers his feet. This kind of gives the impression that the player has some actual height and only hits the wall when his feet gets to it. I think this worked out pretty well, but I'll just check each of the 4 edges to be 100% certain. And it did, so that's another few tasks to check into Azure DevOps and knock off my sprint list. Brilliant. After all of that stress with creating the background image, I really needed a break, so I decided to make myself and my fiancée a cup of coffee. Okay, now that I've taken a break, it's time to get back to business. It was getting fairly late at this point, but I still felt like I had a bit more steam in me, so I decided to get started on the next big goal that I wanted to achieve, creating some sort of enemy. So I opened up Photoshop and I just started creating some sort of little creature. I didn't really have any idea what the hell I was making, to be honest. I just told my mind to shut up and let my hand do the talking. After a while, I had come up with something that looked a bit like this. It was kind of strange, but you know what, I actually kind of liked it. And since this was just the rough outline, I spent the next few hours creating separate layers for each of the body parts and drawing them in greater detail. I started adding some colour and shading too, and it was then that I realised that I actually really liked this little chap. So after about an hour or two, well no, actually about 2 hours, this was what I came up with. I still don't really know what it is, maybe some sort of frenzied demonic dog. I'm also not even sure if I want this to be an enemy in the game, because it kinda looks more like something that would be a companion. Maybe I'll add him to the game as a pet that you can acquire, or maybe he will be an enemy, who knows. Either way, this was all I could manage to achieve tonight. I unfortunately could not finish him, which means that he will have to wait until I'm back home to be finished. And I guess that marks the end of this devlog. Just to let you guys know, I will be getting back pretty late next week, which unfortunately means that my devlog will likely end up going out on Sunday, and there will likely not be a whole lot to show, but I will make sure that I get something done, if not for myself, then most certainly for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Oh, and if you're not a subscriber to my channel and you enjoyed watching this video, then why not subscribe now and make sure to hit that little bell to stay up to date with my latest uploads. Cheers.